Well, hello everyone. I'm Jim Boomer, CEO at Boomer Consulting, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Modernizing Practice Management, which I know is a huge topic right now in a lot of firms, but really a practical guide for the buyer for accounting firms. So practice management software and looking for next generation tools around practice management has really become one of the top discussion points in all of our Boomer Circle meetings. And this is driven by the need for greater integration, automation, and improved reporting. And that's causing a lot of firms to go out and say, let's scan the market and see if there's something better. So in today's session, you'll learn really a process to go about evaluating and selecting the right tool for your firm. We'll look at some core features to prioritize, maybe some red flags to watch out for, and how different roles across your team experience change and how you can help lead the team through change. You'll also hear about real world examples and access a vendor evaluation checklist to help guide your next steps. Plus, we'll include the polling so you can benchmark against where the rest of the group is in their journey here. So with that, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. So Emily Maxey, again, is VP of Marketing. She brings a deep experience helping firms modernize through strategic software adoption and change management. She focuses on aligning technology with operational goals to improve efficiency, client service, and long-term scalability. We also are joined by Shane Monroe, Director of Sales. He's guided hundreds of accounting firms through the practice management software selection process. With a practical education-first approach, he helps firms cut through the noise and find solutions that truly fit their needs. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Emily and Shane. So it's all yours.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining us. I know your time is precious, and I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with us today. So this webinar is designed to be a buyer's guide, something that you can use to evaluate solutions to modernize your firm. And the good news is you're already in a really great spot to make a smart choice because you have this community in Boomer. Having like-minded peers that you can, bounce ideas off of and get advice from is so important when you're making decisions like this. So today I'm going to be sharing insights from conversations we've had with firms who are in your shoes, and we're sharing them to give you the support you need to choose practice management software with confidence. So a lot of you already know why now is the moment. It's why you're here on this webinar in the first place. But we're going to really hammer that home and talk about some statistics around why now is the right time to make a change. And then we're going to guide you through how to create a strategy to help you pick the right software that's aligned to your firm's goals. We'll share some real world insights from peers and talk about what was important to them when they were making their buying decision. And then I'll hand it over to Shane to show you the Firm 360 platform in action. Before we dive in, I want to give you a quick sense of who we are at Firm 360 and where our perspective comes from. Firm 360 is a cloud-based practice management platform built specifically for accounting firms. And unlike a lot of software companies, we weren't born in a Silicon Valley boardroom. We started in an accounting firm in North Carolina, right up the road from me, actually. And our founders lived the pain of tax season. They wrestled with disconnected tools. They tracked deadlines and spreadsheets. They dealt with the late nights and missed details that come from a lack of visibility. And that's why we built Firm 360, to solve the problems that we knew firsthand. So when we say built for accountants by accountants, it's not just a tagline, it's our reality. And every feature, every workflow, every support interaction is grounded in the way accounting firms actually work. Today, we are honored to be trusted by Boomer member firms. You can see some of them here, and also firms across the country who are serious about streamlining operations and scaling more sustainably. And because I get to talk with firms every quarter, many of them going through the same challenges you are, we have a really good, clear point of view on what works and what can get overlooked, what to avoid when choosing software. So our goal with this session is to share what we've learned so you can move forward with confidence, no matter what tool you choose. Obviously, we would love for it to be Firm 360, but this should be valuable for you no matter where you end up. Because at the end of the day, finding the right fit is what really matters, and it's why you're here. So why is now the moment? Before we dive in, we'd love to hear from you. So we're going to launch a quick poll asking what the biggest challenges you're currently facing in your firm's operations. So we'll...
Yeah, all right. Well, Amelia, if you want to pop that poll, there it is. So again, it's what are the biggest challenges? We've got options of disconnected tools and workflows, missed deadlines or tracking issues, staff burnout and overload, lack of visibility into work and progress, or something else. So we'll give you a little while to answer these. Again, a reminder, we need you to answer all 3 questions for CPE purposes. Just while we wait here, another reminder is as we go through this, if you have questions, just pop open the Q&A area and type in your question, and we're keeping an eye on those. So it looks like we've got just a couple people who haven't answered, so we'll give it another 5 seconds. All right, going once, going twice. All right, we'll share the results. Looks like the primary one is disconnected tools and workflows, which is consistent with what we hear. A lot about it's over complex, our tech stack. How can we consolidate and bring things together and make data flow through? So not surprising.
Yeah, and lack of visibility into work progress is number 2, and we hear that a lot as well. So those that, just like Jim said, not super surprising, but it's good to get that confirmation that, you know, what we've heard is resonating with you guys. So we hear this all the time, and so we hear about the disconnected tools, we hear about the lack of visibility, and every tax season, after tax season, we talk to firms who don't want the next tax season to be the same as the one that they just endured. But sometimes it's helpful to get reminded, to get out of the day-to-day, refocus on the bigger picture. So I'm going to share some statistics with you guys. Growth is harder, not because you aren't capable, but because your team is overloaded. Firms we talk to know that if they don't fix the operational side of their business, it's going to be really difficult to scale. So on average, firms spend nearly half their time on non-billable administrative coordination. That's time lost, not just in revenue, but in momentum and morale. And we hear this over and over again from firms who want to grow, but they feel stuck in daily task wrangling. And honestly, it's hard to even think of a change when you are so overloaded. This isn't just talking about a future investment. So firms we talk to say that the lack of visibility into their workflow is holding them back today. 53% admit that they can't track project progress in real time. So it's not about adding more tech. It's about using the right tech to actually get control. And it's not all doom and gloom. There is good news. So 89% of accounting professionals say automation makes their firms more profitable and more efficient, freeing up real working capital that they can reinvest in people and in growth. So this is an inflection point. Firms that wait will continue to struggle with inefficiencies, burnout, and slow growth. Firms that make smart changes now, like adopting the right practice management software, will see faster employee onboarding, fewer bottlenecks, and better client satisfaction. So you can see those two paths here. So how do you evaluate which software is right for your firm? Before we dive into that, we have our second poll question, which is just asking you where you are in your software evaluation journey. Helpful context for us as we move forward.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we end up here. Because in my opening comments, I mean, I feel like we do the peer Q&A roundtables and practice management. Every group I facilitate has bubbled up to the top. And so I know a lot of people are in the process right now, but it's looking like, again, I'm going to guess it's the same two people who maybe don't need CPE. So we'll give it another. Okay, we're sharing. All right. Primarily at 35% just starting, but then there's another quarter that are actively comparing and already selected. And then you've got about just shy of 20% not evaluating at this time. So but they're on here, so doing the wise thing and continuing to scan the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to know what's out there and to be thinking about these things in a strategic way. So how do you evaluate which software is right for your firm? So we see all the time firms getting in this feature comparison trap where they are tied to a particular feature or functionality. But what we really recommend instead is to focus on the things that matter for your firm, which are firm health, managing the work that you have coming in and out the door, and your client experience. So these aren't just separate categories, they're deeply interconnected. When you improve your workflows, your team's capacity increases. That impacts client experience, reduces stress across your firm. And likewise, when you create a better experience for your clients, your internal operations become smoother and more predictable. So running a successful firm isn't just about nailing one of these areas, it's about finding the right balance across all three. So we've broken down evaluation criteria into these three categories, and we're going to walk through each category to give you some specific questions to ask as you evaluate different solutions. And don't worry, like Jim mentioned, we'll be sending out the slides so you could refer back to these. All right, let's dive in. So first is firm health. Under the category of firm health, you need to decide whether or not this software vendor is a strategic fit. So too many firms overbuy or underbuy software. You need something that's built for firms like yours, not bloated with enterprise features and not limited to solo practitioners. Ask if the vendor supports firms of your size and whether their implementation reflects your firm's staffing realities. Next up in the firm health category is future-proofing. So will this system grow with you? Can it handle a larger team, more complex workflows, new service lines? Ask about their product roadmap and how their customers scale over time. The last thing in the world you want to be doing 2 years from now is replacing this system again. The next category is work management. So how you manage the work that you do day in and day out. And the first sort of subcategory there is ease of use. So if your staff won't adopt it, it doesn't matter how powerful it is. So what I recommend is asking to see what it looks like for the team member you think will struggle with new technology the most, your least tech savvy team member. Can they track tasks and time easily? Adoption is everything. Next up in work management is operational visibility. So this is the core value for operations. Can you actually see what's going on? You should be able to identify bottlenecks, overdue items, and overcapacity team members without chasing spreadsheets. So you should be asking for dashboards, alerts, and real-time project views. Next, your practice management software has to work for your firm and your firm's clients. Your clients expect transparency, and they want secure uploads, status updates, faster response times. So some things to ask in this category are, does the software improve your client communication, or does it just add noise? And can clients securely upload documents? A lot of times we see firms who are still using email to exchange very sensitive documents, and obviously that is an option, but we highly recommend secure uploads instead. And finally, onboarding and support. So the best software still needs a great partner behind it. If you're just looking at features, you'll find that the top players kind of leapfrog each other in terms of functionality. And one pitfall I see is when buyers chase sort of the newest shiny feature and overlook the importance of the team that they'll be working with. So during the buying process, get to know the people you'll be interacting with once you become a customer. Ask who handles implementation. Will you get hands-on guidance? Are the support reps full-time, in-house, and familiar with your industry? Onboarding is where success really starts. And if you're like me and you love a good spreadsheet, we created a scorecard to help you compare different vendors across these dimensions. So you can customize this to make it your own and make sure to include elements that are most important to your firm. I recommend having each evaluator have their own tab where they rank each vendor independently. This helps to make sure that all voices are heard during the selection process. Being intentional on the front end of this decision will help you ensure that you make a choice that stands the test of time, and that's where the real value is. So finding the right software can be daunting, but when you get it right, the payoff is pretty sweet. Here's a quote from a Boomer member firm, Varney and Associates. Amanda, a principal at Varney, said that they looked at other systems, but the level of personalized support they got from Firm 360 really stood out. And that's what you're looking for, a partner, not just a platform. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Shane to show you what it looks like in action. Take it away, Shane.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Thank you. That was awesome. Right. You guys see my screen now that I'm sharing. Thumbs up from Jim. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you. I had COVID last week, so my voice, if it goes in and out, just I'm going to take a sip of water and get right back in. So bear with me. But what you're looking at here, this is my dashboard. Each employee at the firm is going to have their own login credentials. When you log into the system, this is your default view. So this is showing work that's on my plate, what I need to work on. And in Firm 360, we use both projects as well as tasks. Projects act as internal, like what you have to do for your clients. Bookkeeping projects, individual 1040 returns, business returns, if you did audits or sales tax. So it's the work that you're doing for your clients. And then within each project, tasks are going to act as the internal checklist or the to-do list of items that it takes for your team to complete those various projects. Back to my dashboard, each project has the client name and number. We have the year and the period. This days at status column right in the middle, this is an important column. This is showing how long each project is sitting there in the particular status that it's in. A lot of firms have bottlenecks where tax returns might be stuck in preparation for too long and they're not moving forward to review. This allows you to see where that holdup, where that bottleneck is taking place. And it's also acting as your first in, first out type of workflow. So as clients are bringing in the work, those projects are going to get prioritized to the top of the list, and your team has the ability to work from the top down in a prioritized manner. Next to that is our target date. So this is the internal due date that we set that we want our projects to be completed. We also have built-in deadline dates for all of our tax projects that represent the actual federal deadline date. As you need to mark extensions, it'll update that deadline date for you to reflect the extension date. That's something that you can also do in bulk. If you have, 50, 10, 40 returns that you're going to file extensions for, you can select all 50 of those in bulk and push that extension forward. And then finally, all the way to the right is our statuses of the project. This is going to represent where each project is at in the life cycle of the project. Built into the Firm 360 platform is a default list of status options, not started, waiting on client information, all the way down to completed. This is going to be customizable. You can rename these, have as many status options as you'd like. These can be color coordinated as well. So if you have a particular color that you want preparation and then a separate color for review, that's all going to be customizable. As your team is working on projects, they can easily route projects to the next status, assign it to the next team member, type in any internal notes that they want their teammates to know about this project. We have the ability to tag other team members using the @ symbol. And then when you hit save, it's automatically moving off of your dashboard. It's showing up on your teammates' dashboard, and they get notified that they have a project that they need to work on. That process can also be automated as well. We have various workflows that we can set up with automated triggers where it can transition that project and move statuses based on actions completed by clients or tasks completed by team members. So there's a lot of automations that we can get into in an actual demo. Moving into clients. So in Firm 360, the way that we set clients up in our system is by entity. You can have an individual client. You can have a husband and wife as a client. You can have a business as a client. When you click into an entity, there's several folders across the top. This main folder shows all the information that's related to this entity. Tax ID, entity type, who's the primary contact. Built into the system, we have the partner in charge, manager, bookkeeper field. You can see which office location that this client is associated with. We have a note section so you can track any client notes, and it hides those notes by default in case you had their QuickBooks passwords or banking information, anything that was sensitive, it'll auto hide those for you. This third column over to the right, these are all custom fields. I've actually built these out, but you can set up as many custom fields as you'd like. You can use those custom fields to assign different team member roles or run reports or filter your client list. Within each entity, we also have contacts. Contacts are going to represent any person that is linked to this entity. And we also link each of those contacts to any other entity that they're also associated with. So in this example here with Steve, he owns multiple businesses, but we also do him and his wife's joint 1040 tax return. So he's linked to all of the entities. He doesn't need 5 different links or 5 different logins if he wants to access his client portal and upload documents, download documents, pay invoices. He has one login to his portal and he can access all of his businesses, plus him and his wife's joint 1040 return. We have an internal secure messaging functionality where you can compose messages to clients from here. They can securely respond to those messages right from their portal. Clients can also compose messages from their side. Those messages can be assigned to different team members. They can be converted into tasks, and then those tasks can be assigned to team members. So if it's something that you need to take action on, you can put this on your teammate's dashboard as a task to do item. And then we also have the ability to convert these messages into a PDF document, and you can store it along with the work papers and attach it to the project that that message was related to. Moving into activities, this is where you'll track any other type of communication correspondence that your team has had with this client. Phone calls can be tracked, text messages, WhatsApp messages. We have an email sync that works with both Outlook and Gmail, where if you enable that email sync, it'll pull in those email conversations and store them here for you automatically. I talked about projects on the dashboard, but this is within this particular client. I can see a global view of all the projects for this client, who's working on them, the status that they're in. We have the ability to set up one-off projects if you're doing, an IRS correspondence, tax return amendment, something that's just a one-off type of project. But we can also support all of your recurring projects. And the way that these are set up is based on some different criteria. So you'll set how often you want this project to recur, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. We have advanced options where you can customize this based on the first day of the month, the last day of the month, the first Monday. You get to completely customize how often you want this project to recur. We have another out-of-the-box default list of project templates, but again, another customizable list. So if I was doing an audit for this client, or if I was doing monthly tax planning, I'll select the project template that I was setting up. I'm going to set this as the first of the month. We have the ability to pre-assign this to a team member, but we also use a unassigned work pool or a work queue, and you'll have the ability to pull from that unassigned queue. Some firms prefer that. So you have the option there. I'll give this an internal due date, and then these blue hyperlinks are clickable, and they're going to include a dynamic naming convention. This will show tax planning January 2025, tax planning February 2025. It automatically updates those along with this recurring project. We have the ability to track hour estimates, cost estimates. We can see how much budgeted time is remaining on this particular project. And then when I hit save, it puts this recurring project into motion based on the parameters that we set right here. This is a good segue into the client portal, and I'll log in as my contact here, Steve, just to give you that perspective of what it would look like from a client side. The way that we've set our client portal up is it's designed to be very user-friendly for your clients. No setup that they need to do on their end. They don't have to download another application. There's no username and password. All they're going to need is their email address, last four of their social. We have a remember me button. If this is checked off, it pre-fills that information for the client automatically, so they're not having to manually retype that information in. And then for security purposes, we have 3-factor authentication. They have to have a cell phone. The system sends a text message with a 6-digit security code, and that's going to allow your clients to securely and easily log in and access their client portal. They can use any device as long as they have access to a web browser, iPad, Android, tablet. It allows them to easily log in and securely access their client portal. So this is the dashboard view. This is going to show clients any action items that you've assigned them that they have to complete on their end. They can see any documents, any open invoice balances, any messages. Client actions are things that you need from your client, whether it's a document request. We can include proposals or engagement letters. You can send an 8879, and we have the KBA capabilities for that authentication. We can embed links to your calendar if you wanted to book an appointment, or links to the IRS website to make an estimated payment. We have fillable forms, organizers. And then as these action items are completed, as I mentioned earlier on the front end, these can automatically trigger projects to then move statuses, assign it to the next team member. There's some automations that we have in place there. From the document side, this is going to give the client the ability to download documents you've allowed them access to. So you get to control what your clients have access to. You can have their last 2 years of W-2s automatically uploaded to their portal, so that if they're buying a house, selling a business, they're not having to call you guys to send them the last 2 years of their tax returns. They can filter by the different entities. They can upload documents directly to you from here. A lot of firms that I talk to have clients that take pictures of documents and send them JPEG images. We have an automatic converter where it will automatically convert those into a PDF for you. You can merge multiple images together into one PDF. You can attach it to the tax return project, and it saves a lot of clicks during tax season with merging and converting JPEG images. Back into the platform. So under the documents, this is where you'll see a global view of all the documents for this particular client. I can send a secure document request to this client. I can drag and drop up to 500 documents per upload. We have a built-in print driver, so you can print from any application directly into Firm 360. We also have file syncs that work directly with various tax softwares, so it makes it very easy for you to get documents directly into Firm 360, whether that's uploaded from the client through the portal or printed over from your tax software. We use what we call a dynamic document management system that makes finding documents very easy once they're indexed into our system. It takes the human error element out of, saving to a wrong folder accidentally, and then you're blindly clicking around for 10 minutes trying to locate that document. We use search criteria that you can type in. You can use search criteria drop downs. These are customizable types of documents that you can filter by. But if you do prefer the folder tree structure, we have customizable folders with subfolders, and it again makes it easy for you to find and locate documents that have been saved into the system. We also have version control that works with PDF documents as well as Excel and Word documents. For example, I can take this PDF, it's in version 8. I can click on edit in Adobe. It'll check this document out of Firm 360. It opens it on your device in your Adobe Acrobat. You can still utilize any plugins that you have, TikTok Calculate, PDF Flyer. Those are still used as you currently would. And then once you're done making changes and you save that document, it updates the new version here for you automatically, but it gives you a revision history with the date and timestamp. So you can access the previous versions, but it's just saving and storing the newest version there for you. Moving into time and billing. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. In the top right section here, there's a start timer button. Next to it, we have an add time button. So you can add time right from your dashboard. Same thing if you're working on a particular project or if you're inside of a client. So this allows you to add time from virtually anywhere within the platform. We also have this time tracking tab here on the left. This is going to show each employee their own time tracking dashboard view. So I can see a breakdown of my day-by-day time entries. It'll give me a total for the week, total for the previous week, total for the month. I can click on any day and see that time breakdown right here. The way that we track time in Firm 360 is by the client name or number. We track by project, by category, and by type. Project is not required for a time entry. If you're doing admin time or something that's not specific to a particular project, that's again not going to be required. But for our internal reporting features, if I was working on this client's tax return, if I was doing monthly bookkeeping, it makes sense to track it by that project. Category and type are both required fields. Category represents the big ticket code that you're working on. Tax services, audit services, advisory services. These are all customizable options. The type is going to represent the more granular work within that category code. So within tax services, I can have different types of time entries. We have an optional description box. It's free type, so I can type in a big long paragraph or whatever I was working on. And then for hours, we can support 5-minute increments, 1/10 of an hour, quarter hour. We can do 9 a.m. to 9:30. We can run timers. You can pause timers. Let's say I was on my dashboard working on a tax return project and I wanted to add a time entry. Now the system would recognize who and what this time entry is for. So it's pre-filling a lot of that data for me. All I'm needing is the hours and optional description, and it's going to record that time entry. All of these pages can also be opened up in multiple tabs. So I've also seen firms that have run multiple monitors, use this to open it in a new tab. So as you're working throughout the day, you have your time tracking dashboard page kind of tucked off to the side. That's always open. So you're not navigating back and forth throughout the system and losing your place in your time entry page. This is always open, so you can easily add time throughout the day. We also can support bulk time entries. So some firms like to go at the end of the day and add all their time throughout the day. We can support that as well. All of your time automatically flows into our billing dashboard. So this is going to represent your work in process, your WIP. You can filter this by partner in charge. You can filter by office location, by custom fields. We can support time-based billing. We can do flat rate fixed fee billing, progress billing, parent billing, project billing, retainer billing, whatever terminology you use, we could support that in our billing. I'll give 2 examples here. Steve Soccer Academy. This is a client that we bill based on time. So when I go in to preview the invoice, it breaks it down for me into 2 separate sides. This left side is each time entry, the detail, who made the time entry, any description that was added is going to be included. The right side is going to show us the total and how this invoice is going to get rolled up. So I have it set on my demo here to roll up by category. That could be adjusted on the fly based on what you want to be displayed to the client. So you can change it here as far as the roll up. With this category, it's going to take all of our payroll time entries here on the left, rolls into one line item. All of our tax service time entries wrapped up into one. All of our client write-up bookkeeping work wrapped up into one line item. If there's certain items that you're not ready to bill yet, like these bottom 4 tax services, I'm going to bill them next month. So I can uncheck these here. It automatically rolls those over for you, and it's going to update the invoice in real time. You can write any of these time entries individually up or down. I'll give this bottom $260 example. I'm going to make this a flat $300. I make that change here. It pushes that change over to reflect the tax service category. You can also write the entire category up or down. So if I wanted to bill $2,000 for the tax services, I make that change here and it prorates those tax service time entries on the left to reflect that change. It respects the time. The time doesn't change. It just prorates the amount based on that change that I made. And then we can also combine this into one line item. We can change the description, we can change the amount. And again, it's updating that invoice in real time for you. The next example I'll use is Angelo's Italian restaurant. This is a client that we bill a monthly flat fee, $500 every month. We still track our time throughout the month because we want to know at the end of the year how much collective time our team spent on this client versus what we ended up actually billing and where we need to increase our fees or be more efficient where the realization took place. Because they're set up as a monthly fixed fee client, every time entry is automatically marked as no, so that when we do generate the invoice for this client, it's going to be wrapped up into that $500 monthly fixed fee invoice. And we customize invoices with your firm's logo, your firm's information. If you have multiple office locations and you want those office locations separated out on the invoices, we can support that. This is a common scenario, but let's say for this fixed fee monthly client, we did some work that was out of scope, ad hoc, not part of that fixed fee agreement that we have in place. We can easily mark those items as yes by clicking on that hyperlink. We can change the amount, we can add a description, and now it's adding these tax services as a separate line item from that monthly fixed fee accounting services that we have in place. Once we're done making changes to the invoice, we click submit, it clears out the WIP, it generates the invoice. From here, we have the ability to select invoices in bulk. We can download them and print them to a PDF and mail out hard copies. We can email them in bulk with a pay now button that allows clients to click and pay with credit card or ACH. And then we can also bulk process the payments that they've saved on file with their permission. Moving into reporting, and I'll wrap this up here with the reporting being the last topic. We have several different reports. One of my favorite is this realization report. This allows you to get a high-level overview of all of the time your team spent on each client, multiplied by your customizable billable rates to give you the produced amount, which is what you should have billed the client based on the time and the work that your team put in, versus the realized amount, which you ended up actually billing the client. And that gives you the write-up or the write-down. This can be filtered by partner in charge, by office location, by employee, by type of service. And you can apply different levels to this to group them in whatever order you want. Also, all of our reports are going to be exportable to an Excel CSV. So if you wanted to export this out and run pivot tables or VLOOKUPs to manipulate the data, you'll have those capabilities. Another report is our staff utilization report. This is going to give you, I'll go back a few months. I'm going to give you a breakdown of all of the billable time your team spent, any non-billable time. It gives you a total and it gives you a percentage of the billable versus non-billable. Every firm has different metrics, but a common one is hitting like an 85% billable versus non-billable. It'll give you easy insight into that information. A common question that I'm asked is, do you have the ability to set different user roles and permissions? And the answer is yes. So you can restrict access to certain employees and have managers have visibility into reporting and information that is just relevant to them. And you can restrict intern access or seasonal employees. So it gives you the ability to restrict all that access. And then in our customizations, this is really where you customize all of the different terminology, all the different dropdowns, all the different templates that's relevant to your firm. We have a lot of pre-built terminology based on common projects, common statuses in the industry. But again, you have the flexibility and we go through an implementation process that's customized to your firm's needs. So that is wrapping up a high level 300-mile-an-hour view of the Firm 360 platform.
That was great, Shane. And I do think you probably only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
So great setup by Emily and very in line with what we're talking about in the circles. And honestly, like some of your stats of, 50% on more of the administrative operational stuff is consistent with the benchmarking stats. Most firms, when they include all employees and all hours worked, have historically been about 50%. And I liked what you were saying about, tech as the enabler, and we've been emphasizing you need to focus as a strategic asset, not a cost or overhead cost of doing business. So great setup. We're going to take questions from the audience, but before we do, with a quick overview from Shane, there's probably some of you that are interested in going a little deeper and learning a little more. So we've launched the third polling question. For CPE, you'll need to answer this question, whether it's yes or no. But we'll leave this open while we look into the questions that have been submitted while Emily and Shane have been talking. So the first one, Shane, it's gonna point right back to what you demoed. You talked about how you can set up visibility into your team if you're a manager, but this question was about the dashboard. Can a manager see the dashboard of other team members, like their direct reports? And then how user-friendly is it to customize that dashboard from the supervisor's point of view?
Yeah, great question. So, and let me share my screen again. Oh, I don't think I can. Yeah, so you do have the ability to customize your own dashboard view based on the roles and permissions that you have access to as an employee. We have different widgets that you can add. We also have a global projects tab that shows a high-level overview of all the projects for the firm. And you have what we call a dynamic search criteria that allows you to filter and sort that project list based on a lot of different criteria: manager level, partner in charge, the project template, project status, date ranges. So a common scenario is you'll create searches and you can save searches. So you'll have a saved search around all of your 1040 returns that are in preparation assigned to a certain office location, for example, or all of your business returns that are tied to a particular partner in charge or a certain employee. And it allows you to have visibility into where projects are at, who's working on what. And you can see that based on, again, your roles and permissions as an employee.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
another on permissions, can you set up who's allowed to update certain tasks? And an example would be only a partner, the admin who handles delivery of tax returns can mark it as complete.
Yeah, so you set your roles within each employee, or excuse me, within each client, and then you'll tie users to those particular roles, and that user is only able to update the status of the project that they would have access to based on their role as an employee. For example, a preparer can only mark preparation and move it to the next status. They can't skip ahead and mark that tax return as completed. Only the admin or the partner, depending on how you set that project up, would then be able to go in and mark that tax return as completed.
I think we addressed this one. Can privileges be applied by roles or functions?
Yes.
You said yes. All right. Do you see this replacing other CRMs with the sales and prospect tabs? Or do you see Firm 360 work if they already have a traditional CRM? Would they work side by side, or would this replace it?
Yeah, like this wouldn't necessarily replace like a Salesforce or a HubSpot. This would be more so you can track internally, you can track prospects and potential clients and easily convert them to a client from that sales leads tab that Kyle's referring to. But you're not going to utilize it for like marketing email blasts and win rates and things like that.
Okay. Another question, Outlook integration, is that done via an Outlook add-in?
So it's an email sync that we've built into the system where it works with both Outlook and Gmail. where you enable that email sync, and it monitors your inbox, and any email that the system recognizes, it pings the system and it pulls that email in.
Okay. Thank you, Shane. I have a couple questions I wrote down because I know that I hear them regularly. You touched upon onboarding and migrating and getting the user adoption, but like what's the typical time frame from start to finish? If a firm said we want to go this direction, how long does that take? And do you have tools to help them move from where they are today to where they're headed in the future? Migration tools or anything like that?
Yeah, Jim, that's a great question, and that's covered on every like one-on-one demo that I do. We definitely get into that because it's an important topic, and Emily actually mentioned it in the presentation. But our onboarding process typically takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Every firm is obviously going to be different, so it typically takes about 4 to 6 weeks. We have a full implementation onboarding team that customizes that experience for you. We virtually will hold your hand and walk you through a series of training calls. We assist with getting your clients pulled in to Firm 360 in bulk through an Excel CSV import. We can help pull in any existing projects in bulk. We can pull over any outstanding invoices, AR, any WIP, that can all be imported in bulk into Firm 360. And then during those training calls, we really get your team trained up and running as efficiently as possible. We've done it in less than 4 weeks, honestly. Like we've had firms that have gone through 3 series of training calls that said, this is intuitive, we're tech savvy, we'll reach out with questions, and we rarely hear from them. I've had other firms that have gone through 6 weeks of training that needed an extra 2 training calls because they had some employees that needed some more hand holding and weren't as tech savvy. But I would confidently say 4 to 6 weeks is a good time frame to get firms transitioned up and running.
Okay. One other I often hear, well, like, is this the right fit for my size firm? And I know, Emily, you talked about that as one of the, when you're trying to find the right tool that fits your firm, that's an important question. What's Firm 360's kind of ideal profile or range in terms of your customers?
Yeah, I can take that one. So we, and one of the answers in the Q&A also spoke to this. We focus on US-based accounting firms with between 20 and 100 employees is really our sweet spot. We can service more than that. We can service fewer than that, but that is really where we shine. And so that is, yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Okay. All right. Well, we are coming up at 2:50 after. And if you have questions as I wrap up here, again, drop them in the Q&A box and we'll make sure somebody follows up with you afterwards. But I want to say thank you to Firm 360 for sponsoring today's webinar. And thank you very much, Emily and Shane. Great insights, great demo in showing how accounting firms can modernize their practice management systems. We hope today's discussion helped you better understand what to look for in a solution and how to make an informed decision. I also want to say thank you to everyone out there who joined us today. I think Emily said it earlier. We all recognize your time is very valuable and we appreciate you giving us a little of it today. So we look forward to seeing you on a future Boomer Consulting webinar. So have a great rest of your day.